My own sister didn't invite me to her wedding. She invited our mother. She invited our cousins. She invited old family friends I hadn't spoken to in years. She even invited people I barely remembered from my childhood. But not me. At first, I told myself it didn't matter. Maybe she wanted a small wedding. Maybe the guest list had become too large. Maybe she was stressed. There had to be a reasonable explanation. At least, that's what I wanted to believe. My name is Sarah. And Emily is my younger sister. For most of our lives, we were inseparable. When we were children, we shared the same bedroom. Emily would sneak into my bed whenever she had a nightmare. I would pretend to be annoyed, but secretly, I loved having her beside me. We shared clothes. We shared secrets. We even shared the punishments when one of us did something wrong. Once, when we were teenagers, Emily accidentally broke our mother's favorite vase. She came running into my room crying. "Sarah, please help me." "What did you do?" "I broke Mom's vase." I looked at the broken pieces on the floor. "Emily, we're dead." She started crying harder. So I told Mom I had broken it. I got grounded for a week. Emily never forgot it. Years later, she still used to joke. "You were the best sister in the world that day." Maybe that's why her wedding invitation hurt so much. Because I wasn't just her sister. I had spent most of my life protecting her. And now she didn't even want me in the room when she said, "I do." 3 weeks before the wedding, my mother called me. "Sarah, honey, can we talk?" "Sure." "What's wrong?" There was a long pause. Then she said, "Emily has decided to keep the wedding small." I smiled. "That's okay. I know she's been worried about the budget." My mother didn't respond. "Mom?" Finally, she said. "She doesn't want you there." I thought I had heard her incorrectly. "What?" "Emily doesn't want you at the wedding." I sat down slowly. "Why?" My mother sighed. "She says she doesn't want any drama." I almost laughed. "Drama? Mom, what have I done?" "Nothing." "Then why doesn't she want me there?" "I don't know." But I knew she was lying. My mother was never good at hiding things. Whenever she lied, she would start rubbing her fingers together. She was doing it now. I could almost picture her standing in her kitchen, nervous and uncomfortable. "Did Emily say something about me?" "Sarah, please." "Mom, I'm asking you a simple question. Just let it go." That sentence hurt more than anything else. Just let it go. As if I were a problem that needed to disappear. I looked at the calendar hanging on my wall. The wedding was only 3 weeks away. I had helped Emily choose the venue. I had helped her compare photographers. I had even lent her money for the first payment. And now I wasn't invited. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. At least, not while I was talking to my mother. I simply said, "Okay." She sounded relieved. "Thank you for understanding." I hung up. Then I sat in my kitchen for almost an hour. I didn't move. I just stared at the empty chair across from me. That chair reminded me of Emily. She used to sit there every Sunday afternoon. We would drink coffee and talk about our lives. Sometimes she would complain about work. Sometimes she would talk about Daniel, her fiancé. Sometimes we would remember our father. Our father had been gone for 12 years. His death had changed our family forever. But Emily and I had survived it together. At least, that's what I thought. After Dad died, Emily held my hand at the funeral. She was crying so hard she could barely speak. She leaned toward me and whispered, "Sarah, promise me something." "What?" "Promise me we'll always have each other." I squeezed her hand. "I promise." She looked into my eyes. No matter what happens? No matter what. For 12 years, I believed that promise meant something. Now I wasn't so sure. That night, I opened my phone. I started scrolling through our old messages. There were hundreds. Birthday wishes. Christmas jokes. Pictures. Arguments. Apologies. Memories. Then I found a message from 6 months earlier. Emily had written. No matter what happens, you're going to stand beside me on my wedding day. I stared at those words. 6 months ago, she had wanted me there. Now she didn't. Something had happened. Something I didn't know about. And suddenly, I realized I wasn't angry. I was afraid. Because if my sister could change her feelings about me that quickly, there had to be a reason. The next morning, I received a message from my cousin Megan. It was a photograph. Emily was standing in front of a mirror wearing her wedding dress. She looked beautiful. Everyone was smiling around her. My mother. My aunt. My cousins. Even Daniel's parents. Everyone was there. Everyone except me. A few seconds later, Megan deleted the photograph. Then she sent me one sentence. I'm sorry, Sarah. I replied. For what? She didn't answer. I called her. No response. That was when I knew something was seriously wrong. That evening, I called Emily. She didn't answer. I tried again. Nothing. Around midnight, my phone finally rang. It was Emily. I answered immediately. Emily? Her voice was quiet. Sarah. Yes? I need you to do something for me. What? Find the documents Dad left behind. My heart skipped. What documents? The old business records. Why? I just need them. Emily, why do you need Dad's records? Silence. Then she whispered. Please don't ask questions. I sat up straight. Emily, you're scaring me. I'm sorry. What's going on? I can't tell you. Why? Because. She stopped. Because what? Her voice became shaky. Because someone is listening. I looked around my empty kitchen. Who's listening? I don't know. Emily, tell me what's happening. I can't. Then the line went dead. I stared at my phone. For the first time in 12 years, I wondered if my father's death had really been an accident. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise. I hadn't slept much. Emily's words kept repeating in my head. Someone is listening. I couldn't understand what she meant. Who would be listening to us? And why did she suddenly need my father's old business records? I spent the entire morning thinking about it. Finally, around 10 o'clock, I went into the storage room. My father's boxes were still exactly where I had left them 12 years ago. Dusty. Untouched. Forgotten. I pulled the largest box toward me and opened it. Inside were old tax papers, company documents, photographs, insurance forms, and several notebooks. I started searching through everything. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Then I found an old brown envelope underneath a stack of papers. There was handwriting on the front. My father's handwriting. My name was written across it. Sarah. I stopped breathing for a moment. I had never seen that envelope before. I turned it over. There was no stamp. No date. Nothing. Just my name. I sat down on the floor. My hands were shaking as I opened it. Inside was a folded letter. I recognized my father's handwriting immediately. The first sentence said, Sarah, if you're reading this, something has gone wrong. I read it again. Then I continued. I don't know when you'll find this letter. I hope you never have to. But if you do, there is something you need to know. My heart started pounding. My father wrote that before his death, he had discovered serious problems in his company. Money was disappearing. Not small amounts. Thousands of dollars. He had initially believed it was an accounting mistake. Then he discovered something much worse. Someone had been deliberately moving money from the company accounts. Someone who had access to his private records. Someone he trusted. I stopped reading. My first thought was Uncle Robert. Robert had been my father's business partner. He had worked with him for almost 20 years. Our family trusted him completely. He attended birthdays, Christmas dinners, family vacations, even my father's funeral. I continued reading. My father wrote, I have made copies of the original documents. If anything happens to me, don't trust anyone who tries to convince you that everything is fine. My hands became cold. Then I reached the next paragraph. If someone tries to keep you away from the family, look carefully at who benefits from your absence. I froze. Emily had just excluded me from her wedding. Was that connected? I read the sentence again. Who benefited from my absence? Then I reached the final paragraph. The person responsible knows what happened the night I became sick. I dropped the letter. The room suddenly felt cold. The night Dad became sick. The night he died. For 12 years, I had believed it was an accident. A sudden medical emergency. That's what Mom had told me. That's what Emily had told me. That's what everyone had told me. But my father's letter suggested otherwise. He had been afraid. And he had been investigating someone. I picked up the letter again. There was one final sentence written. At the bottom. Do not confront them until you have proof. I stared at those words. Then my phone rang. It was Emily. I answered. Emily? She didn't say anything. Are you there? Finally, she whispered. Did you find something? My heart raced. How did you know I was looking? Silence. Emily? I knew Dad left something. How? Because he told me. I stood up. He told you? Before he died. Why didn't you tell me? I wanted to. When? I don't know. Emily, stop hiding things from me. She started crying. I'm trying to protect you. From what? She didn't answer. From Mom? Another silence. From Uncle Robert? She suddenly stopped breathing. That reaction told me everything. You know something about Robert? No. Emily. I can't. You can. I promised Mom. My stomach dropped. You promised Mom what? I promised her I would never tell you. Tell me what? She started crying harder. Sarah, please. No. You called me. You asked me to find Dad's records. You told me someone was listening. Now you're telling me you promised Mom something. Please don't ask me. Then I'm going to find out myself. There was a long silence. Then Emily whispered. That's exactly what I'm afraid of. The call ended. I stood there staring at my phone. My mother. My sister. Uncle Robert. My father's death. Everything was connected. But I still didn't know how. That afternoon, I called my father's old accountant. His name was Mr. Wilson. He had worked with Dad for more than 15 years. When he answered, I asked him one question. Did my father ever tell you that someone was stealing from the company? There was silence. Then he said, Who told you that? My father. Another silence. Sarah, where did you find that information? In a letter. Mr. Wilson took a deep breath. Then I suppose the time has come. My heart began beating faster. What time? The time when you finally learn what your father discovered. I gripped the phone. Mr. Wilson, what happened? I can't discuss this over the phone. Why? Because your father was right. About what? About not trusting people. I felt a chill. Are you saying someone is watching me? I don't know. Then what do you know? I know your father was afraid. Of Robert? Mr. Wilson didn't answer. That was answer enough. Did Dad know Robert was stealing? Your father suspected him. Suspected? He didn't have enough evidence. Then what happened? Mr. Wilson sighed. He was getting close. How close? Very close. And then he died. Silence. I whispered. Was my father's death an accident? Mr. Wilson didn't answer. Instead, he said, come to my office tomorrow. Why? Because I have something your father left with me. What? I'll show you when you arrive. Before hanging up, he added. Come alone. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the letter. About Emily. About Mom. About Robert. Then, just after midnight, I heard something outside my house. A car door closing. I looked through the window. A dark car was parked across the street. The headlights were off. Someone was sitting inside. I watched for several minutes. Then the car slowly drove away. I didn't know who was inside. But I knew one thing. Someone knew I was looking for answers. The next morning, before I could leave for Mr. Wilson's office, I received a message from an unknown number. There were only 6 words. Stop looking into your father's death. I stared at the screen. Then another message arrived. You have no idea what you're uncovering. My hands began to shake. Whoever sent those messages knew what I was doing. And suddenly, I realized something even more frightening. Maybe my sister hadn't excluded me from her wedding because she hated me. Maybe she had excluded me because she was trying to keep me away from a secret that someone would do anything to protect. And I was about to meet the one person who could finally tell me what that secret was. I barely slept that night. The unknown messages kept replaying in my mind. Stop looking into your father's death. Whoever had sent them knew exactly what I was doing. That meant someone was watching me. But who? My mother? Emily? Uncle Robert? Or someone I hadn't even considered? At 8 the next morning, I left my house and drove to Mr. Wilson's office. He had worked with my father for more than 15 years. If anyone knew what had really happened, it was him. His office was in an old building downtown. When I walked inside, he was waiting for me. He looked nervous. Sarah. Mr. Wilson. He closed the office door behind me. Did anyone follow you? I looked at him. No. Are you sure? Yes. He nodded, but he still looked worried. I sat across from him. You said my father left something with you. He opened a drawer. Then he took out a thick brown folder. He placed it on the desk. This was your father's. I stared at it. What is it? Everything he discovered during the last 6 months of his life. My heart began pounding. I opened the folder. There were bank statements, company records, copies of contracts, and photographs. I picked up the first photograph. It showed my father standing outside his office. Beside him was Uncle Robert. I looked at another. Robert was entering the company building late at night. Another photograph showed him meeting someone in a parking lot. Who is that? Mr. Wilson shook his head. We never identified him. I looked at the dates. These photographs had been taken only weeks before my father's death. Why didn't Dad go to the police? He wanted to be certain. Certain about what? That Robert was stealing from him. I turned another page. There were bank transfers. Large amounts of money had been moved from the company account. Some transfers went to different businesses. Others went to private accounts. Then I saw a name. Daniel Carter. My sister's fiancé. I stared at it. Why is Daniel's name here? Mr. Wilson looked uncomfortable. We don't know. Was Daniel working with my father? No. Then why is his name in these records? We believe someone used his identity. I looked at him. Someone opened an account using Daniel's name? That's what we believe. Who? We never found out. I turned the page. There was a handwritten note from my father. Robert knows. Then underneath. But he is not working alone. I felt a chill. Who else? Mr. Wilson shook his head. Your father never wrote the name. Why? Because he was afraid someone might find the note. I looked at him. Did Dad suspect my mother? Mr. Wilson didn't answer. I knew immediately. She was involved. He lowered his eyes. Your father believed your mother knew something. Something about Robert? Yes. I felt sick. My mother. The woman who had spent 12 years telling me my father died suddenly. The woman who had just told me to let the wedding situation go. The woman who had somehow convinced Emily to keep quiet. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Then Mr. Wilson handed me another document. This is the last thing your father gave me. It was a letter. But unlike the first one, this letter wasn't addressed to me. It was addressed to Mr. Wilson. I opened it. My father's handwriting filled the page. William, if you're reading this, then I am no longer able to finish what I started. I swallowed hard. I have discovered that Robert has been moving money from the company for years. My hands shook. But I now believe my wife knows about it. I stopped. My mother. I continued reading. I don't believe she started this. I believe she became trapped in it. I looked at Mr. Wilson. What does that mean? He didn't answer. I continued. If something happens to me, protect my daughters. Especially Sarah. My eyes filled with tears. My father had been thinking about me. Even when I didn't know anything was wrong. Even when I thought everything was normal. He had been trying to protect me. Then I read the final paragraph. Emily knows more than she thinks she does. She witnessed something the night I became sick. She may be frightened. Do not pressure her. I closed my eyes. Emily had been there. She knew. But why? I looked at Mr. Wilson. Tell me exactly what happened the night my father died. He sighed. I wasn't there. But you know something. Only what your father told me. What did he tell you? He said he had confronted Robert. Where? At the company. When? That afternoon. And then? He went home. Did he say what happened afterward? Mr. Wilson nodded. He said he was going to confront your mother. I stared at him. Why? Because he believed she was helping Robert. My phone suddenly rang. It was Emily. I answered. Emily? Her voice was trembling. Where are you? With Mr. Wilson. There was silence. Sarah, you shouldn't be there. Why? Because Robert knows. My heart stopped. What does he know? That you found Dad's letter. How? I don't know. Emily, tell me everything. I can't. You have to. I need you to listen to me. I'm listening. Don't go home. I frowned. Why? Because someone has been asking questions about you. Who? Robert. My blood ran cold. Why would Robert ask about me? I don't know. You do know. Emily began crying. Sarah, please. Just stay with Mr. Wilson. The call ended. I looked at Mr. Wilson. How did Robert know I was here? He didn't answer. Then I noticed something. His office door was slightly open. I knew he had locked it when I arrived. I stood up. Did you tell anyone I was coming? No. Then who opened the door? We both stared at it. Mr. Wilson walked toward the hallway. Nobody was there. But on the floor was a small envelope. He picked it up. There was no name on it. He opened it. Inside was a photograph. Mr. Wilson's face changed. What is it? He handed it to me. It showed me walking into his office that morning. Someone had taken the photograph from across the street. I felt sick. Someone had followed me. Someone knew exactly where I was. Mr. Wilson locked the door again. Then he said something that terrified me. Sarah, you need to leave this alone. I looked at him. Why? Because your father wasn't the first person who tried to expose Robert. What do you mean? Mr. Wilson hesitated. There was someone else. Who? A former employee. What happened to him? He disappeared. I stared at him. When? About a year before your father died. Did Dad know? Yes. Did he investigate? He tried. What did he find? Mr. Wilson looked directly into my eyes. He found a connection between Robert and your mother. My stomach tightened. What connection? I don't know. You're lying. I'm not. Then why are you so afraid? He looked toward the window. Because your father wasn't the only person who was threatened. I stepped closer. Who threatened you? He didn't answer. Then his phone rang. He looked at the screen. His face turned pale. He rejected the call. A few seconds later, it rang again. This time, the number was blocked. He turned the phone off. I whispered. Mr. Wilson. He looked at me. You need to go. I shook my head. Not until you tell me the truth. He stared at me for a long moment. Then he opened another drawer. Inside was a small black notebook. This belonged to your father. I took it. What is it? His personal journal. I opened it. Most pages contained notes about the company. But several pages were marked with dates. The last entry was written 2 days before my father's death. I read it. I finally know who is behind everything. The next line made my heart stop. It isn't Robert. I looked at Mr. Wilson. What? He said nothing. I continued reading. Robert is only covering for her. Her. Not him. Her. My hands started shaking. I turned the page. There was only one sentence. If I am right, the person I trusted most is the person who betrayed me. I couldn't breathe. There was only one woman my father had trusted more than anyone. My mother. I closed the notebook. Suddenly, everything made sense. The secret. The wedding. Emily's fear. My mother's silence. Robert's threats. My father's death. But I still didn't know one thing. Why had Emily called me the night before the wedding? Why had she begged me to come? And what exactly was she hiding? As I walked out of Mr. Wilson's office, my phone buzzed. Another message. This time, there was no warning. Only one sentence. Ask your sister what she saw that night. I stopped walking. Because now I knew the truth was closer than ever. And the person holding the final piece of the puzzle was my own sister. I drove home with both hands tightly gripping the steering wheel. I could barely think. My father's journal was sitting on the passenger seat. One sentence kept repeating in my mind. The person I trusted most is the person who betrayed me. My mother. I didn't want to believe it. She was still my mother. The woman who raised me. The woman who held me when I was sick. The woman who cried beside me when my father died. How could she have betrayed him? And if she had, what exactly had she done? But there was another question that frightened me even more. What had Emily seen that night? My phone rang. I looked at the screen. Emily. I answered. Where are you? I'm at the old house. The house Dad lived in? Yes. Why? Because I need to tell you something. I turned the car around. I'll be there in 20 minutes. No. I frowned. Why? Come alone. I was planning to. And Sarah. Yes? Don't tell Mom you're coming. My stomach tightened. Why? Because she doesn't know I'm going to tell you. I hung up. The old house had been empty for years. My father had lived there until the day he died. After his death, my mother couldn't stand being inside it. She said every room reminded her of him. Eventually, the house was locked up. Nobody went there. Not even Emily. When I arrived, the front door was slightly open. I stepped inside. The house smelled exactly as I remembered. Old wood. Dust. My father's books. The clock on the wall had stopped years ago. Emily was standing in the living room. She looked terrified. Sarah. What happened? She closed the door behind me. Did anyone follow you? No. Are you sure? Yes. She nodded. Then she sat down. I remained standing. Tell me what you saw. Emily looked at the floor. I've been trying to tell you for 12 years. Then tell me now. She took a deep breath. The night Dad died, I came home because Mom called me. Why? She said Dad had found something. What? I don't know. Emily. I swear, I didn't know. She looked up at me. But when I arrived, they were arguing. Who? Mom and Dad. What were they saying? At first, I couldn't understand. Then I heard Dad say Robert's name. My heart tightened. What did Mom say? She said, he'll destroy us if you tell Sarah. I closed my eyes. Why was my name involved? I don't know. Keep going. Emily wiped her tears. Dad told Mom he had already copied everything. What everything? The financial records. I remembered my father's letter. Emily continued. Mom begged him to stop. And Dad? He said he was going to the police. I stared at her. What happened next? Emily's voice became quieter. Mom slapped him. I froze. She hit Dad? Emily nodded. Then Dad grabbed his chest. I couldn't breathe. Did Mom hurt him? I don't know. You were there. I know. Then tell me. Emily began crying. I saw Mom holding something. What? A small bottle. My stomach dropped. What was inside? I don't know. Did Dad take anything? I don't know. Emily. I was scared. She covered her face. I was only 22, Sarah. I didn't know what to do. I sat down beside her. What happened after that? Mom told me to call the ambulance. Did you? Yes. Then? Before the ambulance arrived, Mom took something from Dad's pocket. What? A small key. I stared at her. A key? Yes. Do you know what it opened? She shook her head. No. I thought about my father's boxes. The letter. The journal. The hidden documents. Maybe the key was connected to everything. Where is the key now? I don't know. Are you sure? Emily looked at me. I saw Mom hide it. Where? She put it inside her coat. What happened to that coat? I don't know. I stood up. We need to find it. Sarah. We need to know what that key opens. Emily looked terrified. There is something else. What? She took a small envelope from her purse. I found this last week. She handed it to me. My father's handwriting was on the front. For Sarah. I opened it. Inside was a photograph. My father was sitting at his desk. Behind him was a large wooden cabinet. I recognized it immediately. It was still in the house. I walked toward it. There were 12 drawers. All of them were locked. Except one. The third drawer was slightly open. I pulled it. Inside was nothing but dust. Then I noticed a small hole at the back. A hidden compartment. I reached inside. My fingers touched something cold. Metal. I pulled it out. A key. Emily gasped. That's it. I looked at her. The key? She nodded. That's the key Mom took that night. I stared at it. For 12 years, it had been hidden inside my father's house. Waiting for someone to find it. We searched the room. There was an old safe behind a painting. The key fit. I turned it. Click. The safe opened. Inside were documents. Photographs. A USB drive. And another letter. I opened the letter. My father's words were clear. If you're reading this, then the truth has finally found its way back to you. I continued. Robert is not the person behind everything. My hands started shaking. I trusted the wrong person. Then I reached the final paragraph. Your mother is involved, but she is not the mastermind. I looked at Emily. What does that mean? She shook her head. I don't know. I kept reading. The person controlling the money has been using Robert and your mother. My heart raced. Who? The answer was on the next line. But before I could read it, the lights went out. Emily screamed. I grabbed her hand. Stay close. We heard footsteps upstairs. Someone was inside the house. Emily whispered. Sarah. Don't move. The footsteps became louder. Then a door slammed. I grabbed the flashlight from my phone. We slowly moved toward the hallway. Nobody was there. But the front door was open. Someone had escaped. On the floor, near the doorway, was a piece of paper. I picked it up. There were only 3 words. You should have stopped. Emily started crying. He's going to hurt us. I looked at her. Who? She whispered. Robert. But I wasn't convinced. Because Robert wasn't the mastermind. My father's letter had said so. Someone else was controlling everything. And whoever that person was had just entered the house looking for the same evidence we had found. We took the documents and left. That night, Emily stayed at my house. Neither of us slept. Around 3 in the morning, she finally spoke. "Sarah." "What?" "I need to tell you the last thing." I turned toward her. "What last thing?" She looked terrified. "Before Dad died." She paused. I heard him say one name. "Whose?" She looked directly at me. "Mom's." I swallowed. "What did he say?" Emily whispered. "Linda. Our mother's name." Then she continued. "He said, Linda, if you do this, Sarah will never forgive you." I couldn't breathe. "What did Mom say?" Emily's eyes filled with tears. "She said." Emily stopped. "What?" She looked at me. "She said, she'll never know." The room went silent. For 12 years, my mother had been carrying a secret. But now I knew there was more to it. My father had known. Emily had witnessed it. And someone else had been controlling everything from the shadows. The next morning, I opened the USB drive. There was only one video file. The date was 12 years old. I pressed play. My father's face appeared on the screen. He looked tired. Afraid. But alive. He looked directly into the camera. And the first words he said were, "Sarah, if you're watching this, then your mother has already lied to you." I looked at Emily. Neither of us moved. Then my father continued. "And the person you should be looking for isn't Robert." He paused. "It's someone you see every day." The video went black. And that's when I realized. The biggest secret hadn't even been revealed yet. The screen went black. For several seconds, neither Emily nor I said a word. My father's face was still in my mind. His voice. His expression. The fear in his eyes. And one sentence kept echoing in my head. "The person you should be looking for isn't Robert." I looked at Emily. "Who is he talking about?" She shook her head. "I don't know." "But you knew Mom was involved." "I knew she was hiding something." "That's not the same thing." "I know." I replayed the video. This time, I watched every second carefully. My father looked directly into the camera. He wasn't speaking casually. He was reading from something. A few seconds before the video ended, his eyes moved toward the left side of the room. As if someone had entered. Then he said, "Sarah, if you're watching this." The recording ended. I paused the video. "Wait." I rewound it. "Look." Emily leaned closer. "At what?" "His eyes." She stared at the screen. Someone was there. We both looked toward the left side of the frame. There was a shadow. Someone had been standing just outside the camera's view. My heart began pounding. Who was in the room with Dad? Emily whispered. "I don't know." I opened the original file information. The video had been recorded 12 years ago. But there was something strange. It had been edited. Someone had removed part of the recording. I looked at Emily. This wasn't the whole video. She stared at me. "How do you know?" "There's a missing section." I contacted a friend who worked in video restoration. He agreed to look at the file. 2 hours later, he called me. "Sarah, I recovered something." My heart jumped. "What?" "There's about 40 seconds of deleted footage. Can you send it to me?" I already did. I opened the restored file. The screen showed my father sitting at his desk. Then the door opened. Someone walked into the room. I recognized the voice immediately. It was my mother. Linda, Dad said. She closed the door. You shouldn't have recorded this. My father looked angry. I had no choice. You're making a mistake. No. You made the mistake. My mother started crying. I was trying to protect the family. By stealing from me? I didn't steal anything. You signed the documents. I was forced. By Robert? She didn't answer. My father leaned forward. Who is controlling him? My mother looked terrified. I can't tell you. You have to. If I tell you, we're all finished. Then my father said something that shocked me. Is it Daniel's father? My mother froze. The video ended. I stared at the screen. Daniel's father. Emily's fiancé. I looked at her. Did your father ever know my dad? She shook her head. Not that I know of. Are you sure? I think so. Ask him. Emily immediately called Daniel. He arrived less than an hour later. When we showed him the video, his face went pale. My father. He sat down. What's wrong? Emily asked. Daniel looked at us. My father died 6 years ago. I frowned. What does that have to do with this? Before he died, he told me something. What? He said your father had once helped him. I stared at him. Helped him with what? Debt. How much? I don't know. Daniel looked at the video again. But there was something else. What? My father hated Uncle Robert. Why? He said Robert had destroyed his business. I looked at Emily. This is bigger than we thought. Daniel nodded. Then he said something that changed everything. My father left me a box. Where? At home. What's inside? I don't know. Then let's find out. We went to Daniel's house. He brought out an old wooden box. Inside were financial records, photographs, letters, and one photograph that made my heart stop. My father. Daniel's father. And another man. Standing behind them was Uncle Robert. The photograph was dated 14 years ago. Before Emily met Daniel. Before the company problems. Before my father's death. On the back, someone had written. The 4 men who knew the truth. I looked at Daniel. Who is the 4th man? He pointed at the photograph. I recognized him. It was our family's former lawyer. Mr. Harris. The same lawyer who had handled my father's business contracts. I called him. He didn't answer. I tried again. Nothing. Then Daniel received a message. Unknown number. Stop digging. I looked at him. Did you get threats before? No. Then another message appeared on his phone. Your father kept one document. Find it before they do. We searched the box again. At the very bottom was a small envelope. Inside was a legal document. It showed that my father's company had been secretly transferred into another company 14 years earlier. But the transfer had never been completed. The signature authorizing it wasn't my father's. It was my mother's. I felt sick. Mom signed this. Emily looked at the document. But Dad said she wasn't the mastermind. Maybe she was being used. By whom? I looked at the photograph. Robert. My father's lawyer. Daniel's father. And my mother. 4 people. But who was controlling them? Then I noticed something. A name on the legal document. The company that was supposed to receive my father's business was owned by a person named Victor Harris. I looked at Daniel. Mr. Harris. He nodded. Our family lawyer. Daniel's father. And my mother. 4 people. But who was controlling them? Then I noticed something. A name on the legal document. The company that was supposed to receive my father's business was owned by a person named Victor Harris. I looked at Daniel. Mr. Harris. He nodded. Our family lawyer. The man who had handled everything after my father's death. The man who had helped Mom with the paperwork. The man who had convinced everyone that my father's death was an accident. Suddenly, everything fell into place. He had been hiding the evidence. He had helped Robert move the money. He had pressured my mother. And he had manipulated the entire family. But why? We went to his office. The receptionist told us he had retired years ago. Where did he go? She gave us an address. It was an old house outside the city. We drove there. The house was empty. But the front door was unlocked. Inside, everything was covered in dust. We searched the rooms. Then Emily found a small office. There were files everywhere. Most of them were destroyed. But one folder had my father's name on it. I opened it. Inside was the original medical report from the night my father died. I read it carefully. The official cause of death was listed as cardiac arrest. But there was another note. Possible poisoning. I stared at the page. Emily. She read it. Her face went pale. Mom said Dad had a heart attack. He may have been poisoned. We kept searching. Then we found a handwritten note. It said, Linda did not poison him. I felt a strange relief. But then I read the next sentence. She knows who did. I closed my eyes. My mother had known. For 12 years. She had known someone might have killed my father. And she had kept silent. We drove straight to my mother's house. When she opened the door and saw us, she immediately knew. You found it. I stared at her. How long have you known? She started crying. Sarah. How long? 12 years. Emily stepped forward. Mom, who killed Dad? My mother covered her mouth. I don't know. That's a lie. She looked at me. I swear. Then tell me what happened. She sat down. For the first time, she looked completely broken. She told us that the night my father died, she had received a phone call from Mr. Harris. He told her that if she didn't cooperate, Robert would destroy the company. Then he told her something worse. He said my father's life was in danger. My mother thought he was threatening him. She didn't realize the threat had already been carried out. After Dad collapsed, Harris told her to keep quiet. He promised that if she did, Emily and I would be protected. My mother believed him. She signed documents. She lied to the police. She lied to us. And for 12 years, she carried the guilt. But there was one thing she still didn't know. Who had actually poisoned my father? I looked at her. Mom, why didn't you ever tell me? She cried. Because I was afraid. Of Harris? Yes. Where is he now? She looked at me. I don't know. Then Emily asked. Why did you keep Sarah away from my wedding? My mother closed her eyes. Because Harris contacted me again. My heart stopped. What? He knew Sarah had started looking into your father's records. When? 2 weeks ago. Why didn't you tell me? Because he threatened you. What did he say? My mother looked directly at me. He said that if you discovered the truth, someone you love would die. The room went silent. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Nobody spoke. Then a man's voice whispered. You should have listened to your mother. The call ended. I looked at Emily. Then at my mother. We finally knew who had been behind the secret. But we still didn't know the most important thing. Was Harris responsible for my father's death? And if he was, why had he waited 12 years to come back? Then my phone buzzed again. A message appeared. Tomorrow, you will learn what really happened to your father. And beneath it was an address. The old company building. The place where my father's story had begun. And where I suspected it was finally going to end. Next morning, I stood outside the old company building. The same building where my father had spent most of his life. The same place where he had built his business from nothing. The same place where the first secrets had begun. And now, 12 years after his death, I was finally going back. Emily stood beside me. Daniel was with us too. My mother wanted to come. I told her no. Mom, stay home. She looked at me. Sarah. I don't want you involved. She lowered her eyes. For the first time in years, I saw something different in my mother's face. Not fear. Regret. She knew I had to finish this myself. We entered the building. The place was almost empty. Dust covered the floors. Old furniture was pushed against the walls. The company's name was still hanging above the reception desk. My father's name. I stopped for a moment. Emily touched my arm. Are you okay? I nodded. Yes. But I wasn't. I remembered being a child and visiting Dad here. He would lift me onto his desk and pretend I was the boss. Emily would sit in his chair and spin around until she became dizzy. Those memories felt like they belonged to another lifetime. Then we heard a noise. A door closing somewhere upstairs. Daniel looked at me. Someone's here. We walked slowly toward the stairs. At the top was my father's old office. The door was open. Inside, someone was standing near the window. An older man. Gray hair. Dark coat. He turned around. It was Victor Harris. Our former family lawyer. The man we had been searching for. Emily stepped backward. Daniel whispered. That's him. Harris smiled. You finally came. I looked at him. You killed my father. He didn't answer. Instead, he said. Your father was a stubborn man. My hands tightened. Did you poison him? He looked at me. No. I froze. No. I didn't poison your father. Then who did? Harris looked toward the window. Your father was already dying. I didn't understand. What does that mean? He had a heart condition. That's not what the medical report says. No. He looked at me. The report was altered. By you? Yes. Why? Because someone else was responsible. Who? Harris looked at Emily. Then Daniel. Then me. Your uncle. Robert. My heart sank. Robert poisoned him? Harris nodded. But why? Because your father was going to expose him. I stared at him. And my mother? She knew. She helped? No. Harris sighed. Your mother discovered Robert had poisoned him. She was terrified. I told her to remain silent. Why would you protect Robert? Because Robert had something over me. What? Harris looked away. He knew I had been helping him move the money. So you protected him? Yes. I felt sick. You ruined my family. I know. You let me believe my father died naturally. I know. You let Emily carry this secret for 12 years. I know. Why? Harris finally looked at me. Because I was afraid. I laughed bitterly. Everyone was afraid. He didn't respond. Then he reached into his coat. Emily stepped backward. But Harris pulled out a small envelope. He placed it on the desk. Your father left this. I stared at it. Why do you have it? He gave it to me the day before he died. I opened it. Inside was a letter. My father's handwriting. Sarah, if you ever find this, don't blame your mother. I stopped reading. Tears filled my eyes. She is afraid, but she is not the enemy. I looked at my mother in my mind. All those years of anger. All those unanswered questions. Then I read the next line. Your mother will make mistakes. She will lie. But she is trying to protect you. I couldn't stop crying. My father knew. He knew what would happen. He knew my mother would be forced into silence. And he still wanted me to forgive her. Then I reached the final line. Trust Emily. She will eventually find the courage to tell you. I looked at my sister. She was crying too. For 12 years, Emily had carried the truth alone. She wasn't trying to betray me. She was terrified. Then suddenly, we heard sirens outside. Harris looked toward the window. The police had arrived. I looked at him. Did you call them? No. Daniel stepped forward. I did. Harris smiled sadly. I suppose it's over. He didn't run. He simply sat down. The investigation lasted several months. Robert was arrested. The evidence showed that he had been stealing from my father's company for years. He had arranged for my father's medication to be tampered with. Harris had helped him cover it up. My mother admitted everything she had done to protect us. And Emily finally told the complete truth. For the first time in 12 years, our family stopped hiding. The truth was painful. But it was free. My mother came to my house several weeks later. She stood at the door. Can I come in? I nodded. She sat at the kitchen table. The same table where Emily and I had once spent countless afternoons together. Mom looked at me. I'm sorry. I didn't answer. She continued. I thought keeping the truth from you would protect you. It didn't. I know. You took 12 years from me. She began crying. I know. And you took 12 years from Emily. I know. I looked at her. I don't know if I can forgive you. She nodded. I understand. That was the first time she didn't ask me to forgive her. She simply accepted the consequences. And somehow, that made it easier. A year later, Emily finally got married. Not the wedding she had originally planned. A smaller one. A quieter one. Only the people she truly trusted were there. And this time, I was standing beside her. Before the ceremony, she came into my room. She was wearing her wedding dress. For a moment, I remembered the little girl who used to sneak into my bed after nightmares. She smiled. Sarah? Yes? Are you still angry with me? I looked at her. Sometimes. She laughed through her tears. Fair enough. Then she hugged me. I'm sorry. I know. I should have told you. I know. She pulled away. I was afraid. So was I. She smiled. But we're okay now? I looked at her. We're learning how to be. She nodded. Then she handed me a small envelope. I opened it. Inside was an invitation. Not to her wedding. But to something else. At the bottom, she had written. No more secrets. I smiled. That was all I needed. Because I finally understood something. My sister didn't exclude me from her wedding because she stopped loving me. She excluded me because she was terrified that the truth would destroy us. She was wrong. The truth didn't destroy us. The lies almost did. I used to think revenge meant making the people who hurt me suffer. I thought justice meant watching them lose everything. But now I understand. The greatest revenge isn't always punishment. Sometimes, it's surviving what they tried to break. Sometimes, it's rebuilding your life. Sometimes, it's forgiving someone without forgetting what happened. And sometimes, the greatest revenge is simply refusing to become the person who hurt you. My sister once invited everyone except me. But years later, when she looked into my eyes and asked me to stand beside her, I realized something. The invitation had never really been the important part. The truth was. And after 12 years of lies, I finally had it. I had my father's truth. I had my sister back. And most importantly, I had myself back. The family secret that had controlled our lives for 12 years was finally over. But the lesson it left behind would stay with me forever. Blood doesn't automatically make people family. Love does. Trust does. Honesty does. And when those things are broken, they can sometimes be rebuilt. Not the way they were before, but stronger. Because once you've survived the truth, you never have to be afraid of it again. And that was my final revenge. Not destroying my family. Not hurting the people who betrayed me. But walking away from the lies. And choosing to live the rest of my life in the truth.